Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Max Danielsen Show. I'm your host, Max Danielsen, and joining me today we have another Austin College baseball player. He's one of our middle infielders. That is Mr. Brett Garner. Brett, welcome on the show, my man.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, sir. It's glad to have you on here. So it's tradition around here. I start off, first of all, you go here to Austin College, but tell the viewers here what you do. Or that you're a baseball player, what's your major, and then what your favorite sports teams are.
Obviously, like you just said, I'm a middle infielder, but I'm going to be a business admin and economics major, so looking to get into some sports marketing, so
that's
obviously
good.
Sports. And then I'm a Houston guy, so favorite teams, Astros, Rockets, Texans, throw in some other ones, Dynamo.
Yeah. We will talk about the Rockets here just to start off here. In just a second, we'll jump right into it. With NBA basketball. Before we, though, get into that Rockets thing, of course, as most of you know, we had that special edition last week instead of this week's episode, or last week's episode, now episode 20 now, which was the Kobe Bryant series, and that was the very first big news that broke right after episode 19, which was Kobe being killed in a helicopter accident along with his daughter Gianna and then 7 other people. I know we talked all about that in that episode, just about the legacy of Kobe and everything, but I want to ask you personally, what did Kobe mean to you, and now with him gone, how's the game change?
It really is it feels like it affects everyone. He's one of those people where he was a worldwide known person, and there's not many deaths where it feels like it affects everyone, but his truly did, Because me personally, I've always been a LeBron fan, but it feels like with Kobe gone, it's just wrong. It just feels wrong.
It does,
So many people looked up to him, and I have a whole different perspective on him now, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, and even so, he was a great father figure to his kids.
That was another thing that a lot of people look forward to, is him transitioning from going from basketball to now him as a parent and taking that father advice onto players in the league.
Right, yeah. I mean, even so, he wasn't that big of once he retired, he wasn't big into NBA, and then Gianna got him back into that.
I know.
And now this year we saw him sitting courtside. I know one story, I mentioned it in that broadcast, was when he was talking trash to Luka in Slovenian.
Yeah.
He did not know Slovenian, but he learned 7 seconds of it just to do that to Luka. And I know for Luka, he was a big role model of him too. So definitely, not only it shocked me, but I know it shocked the entire spectrum of basketball. But we'll move aside that very sad topic there, and we'll kind of get on to some big things. Just on Thursday was the NBA trade deadline, and a lot of big trades went down. One of those being, and really what started it all off, was the Hawks acquiring Clint Capella in a 4-team trade. I will be honest with you here, Brett. Starting off my answer there like Jordan Miller. The Rockets got finessed in this.
Yeah.
I mean, Robert Covington, don't get me wrong, he's a great player. Great small forward, great. You can even put him as a 4. But the efficiency that you get from Clint Capella, I remember, I've said this multiple times on the show, I worked in the G League for 5 years, and I met Capella when he was a rookie, and I could tell he was going to turn into something special eventually one day. And even so, I read today the Rockets' defensive rating was like 89.4, and a big number of that came from the defense that Capella always brought, especially night in, night out, getting your rebounds, getting your blocks, and really being a defensive asset and a great center for them. So for right now, what you see for the Rockets, do you think this was the smart trade to do to eventually get out Capella, or do you think that they should have kept him, or should they have gotten, because honestly, they should have gotten more guys out of that trade?
Yeah, I mean, since he came up, I've always been like, he's been such a good player, and once they traded him, I was like, you kidding me, guys? Like, They trade not just him, but also I'm pretty sure they traded Nene, so they have no centers now.
Yeah.
It seems like P.J. Tucker is going to be their center, who's like
That's
6'6".
right. Oh, yeah.
Like
6'5", actually.
6'5".
They made a meme of that with D'Angelo Russell the other day, but we'll talk about him in a bit.
They really went into the whole small ball thing, and I was like, wow, man. See how it works against the Lakers, which they won.
Yeah.
They won, surprisingly, but down the road, I guess we'll really see how it goes, because that whole trade, Yeah, I thought they got.
I mean,
finessed, too.
the Rockets didn't even get a pick from it. I'm pretty sure.
I think they got
just Robert Covington.
Yeah, it seems like they just.
I mean,
Robert
Covington is now, I think, their biggest player, if I'm not mistaken. And he's 6'9".
He came from what was it? And he was the second shortest player on the team. He came
76ers, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he was the second shortest player, which.
I mean, then again, the 76ers, they're all
they play
big guys.
different. Yeah, they play different, but so. We'll see how it goes, but I feel like they did get finessed.
Now, another trade that came out, which was inevitable at this point, was that trade that was going on with Memphis this whole week. The Warriors and Ja Morant. Now, this is really where I've began to really like Morant because of the Twitter beef he had with Iggy.
Yeah, that was funny.
But this whole season, if I'm not mistaken, Iguodala sat out because he doesn't want to play with Memphis. I don't frankly blame him, but at the same time. But now he's going to go to the Miami Heat along with Jay Crowder and Solomon Hill. Let me see if I could pull up what the full trade was. I know I have it somewhere in here. Let's see here. So the Grizzlies will get Justice Winslow, which is a great piece, Deion Waiters, and James Johnson. Overall, this trade for the Grizzlies is a great one. They were paying big money for Iguodala because Warriors had to dump that salary when they took on D'Angelo Russell, which, again, we'll get into him here with this next trade. But overall, who do you think wins this trade, either the Heat or the Grizzlies, or do you think it's pretty even?
Well, I think right now probably the Heat because they're really trying to buff up their lineup for a playoff run. So their bench is starting to look pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, Kendrick Nunn has been playing phenomenal. Tyler Herro, he's been having a great rookie year.
I think that's going to be a fun team to watch in the East playoffs.
I saw someone, there was a guy who just debuted for the Heat. I can't remember his name, but someone tweeted out, like, where the hell do they find all these guys?
I know I was watching, and they had the one guy, I think his name was it Duncan Robinson?
Duncan Robinson,
That dude's just been splashing from three.
That is who it is, yeah.
That dude's been lining it up for three. It's just, I mean, that team is just unreal right now.
I mean, the talent that they got out, I know Kendrick Nunn, if I'm not mistaken, was in the G League last year, balled out, and they finally signed him. And then I know at the start of the year has been phenomenal and still is playing pretty decent.
They have a bunch of people just stepping up and playing at a great level.
No, that's actually Tyler Johnson. Never mind on that, but Tyler Johnson's contract is still ridiculous. Going on here, a big trade that eventually when he was signed by the Warriors, we knew this trade was I believe actually it was a sign-and trade, but same deal.
Yeah, it was a sign-and trade.
But we knew D'Angelo Russell was eventually going to get traded, and he got traded to the Timberwolves for Andrew Wiggins, a first-round pick, if I'm not mistaken.
And I think it was second round too, right?
Yeah, it's a second round too. I'm trying to remember if it was, though, a first for this year. Let's see here. Let's see if I got it somewhere. For some reason, I didn't put it in here, but if I'm not mistaken, D'Angelo Russell. 2021 projected first-round pick. So not going to be this year's, but the year afterward. And then Andrew Wiggins, who has really lived down to expectations. I mean, he's a decent player, but for where he was drafted as the number one overall pick back in 2014, not living up to that hype. But at least it's better than what's it called?
No, some people.
No, Anthony Bennett.
Anthony Bennett, yeah, that guy.
But the one thing that I read is like the Warriors gave up on D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah, that's kind of what it seemed.
And that's
just from the beginning.
Yeah,
they were talking
really
about how they were gonna trade him right away, and so that really doesn't build any chemistry.
Yeah, and even so, I know Steph's out for right now. Yeah. They were looking to trade Draymond Green, or they were open to it, and then did not end up trading for him. But overall, not a bad trade for the Timberwolves, of course. Now you got that duo. Not only I know they have a Kogi, if I'm not mistaken. They have Cat and then D'Angelo, which is a really, really solid team right there, especially with a pick and pop that you could do with Cat and D'Angelo Russell. The next trade we'll get into, before we get into one that I have no clue why the hell it was made in the first place, that is Marcus Morris getting traded to the Clippers. And honestly, this deal for the Clippers is not that bad. The full trade is the Clippers got Morris and then Isaiah Thomas. The Knicks acquired Mo Harkless and the 20 first-round pick, and then the Wizards got Jerome Robinson. The Clippers, in my opinion, won this trade because I know a healthy Isaiah Thomas is very lethal. Now he's not been to
He's not the same player that
the
he
caliber
was
that
on
he
the
was in Boston by any
but
means necessary.
He's
but
still a good role player.
Yeah, he's still a great role player. I know Marcus Morris, great 4 guy, especially for a Clippers team that you need to back you up.
It seems like they kind of got him just to go up against the Lakers, kind of.
Oh yeah, I think that's definitely the reason for that.
Yeah, that's how I felt about it.
I mean, you need guys off your bench. I know when Pat Beverly comes out of the game, you need a spark plug like Isaiah Thomas, and when Kawhi's out of the game, you put right in Marcus Morris, who's a defensive powerhouse. Nothing, of course, like Kawhi Leonard, but still gives you good defensive efficiency.
That guy's unreal.
Mm-hmm. Now, this trade, this last one here, before we get into MLB baseball, is one that I have no clue why the Cavaliers made at all. The Cavaliers have, for my viewers who do not follow NBA basketball, you probably remember the Cavaliers being one of the top teams back in the mid 2010s when they had LeBron, Kevin Love, and Kyrie. Those 2 left. Now it's just Kevin Love. Kevin Love wanted to be traded, so you'd think the logical thing, because they're one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in the East, that actually might be the Knicks. That's probably the Knicks. Yeah, I think it is the Knicks. But they're one of the worst teams still down there. So you'd think they just dump that salary of Kevin Love, go full tank, rebuild. But they decided to go for, personally, in my opinion, one of the best defensive centers in the NBA of Andre Drummond, who eventually was going to get traded. But at this point, I want to ask you here, Brett, why? Why do the Cavs even do this trade?
I think this trade all around was just dumb because, the Pistons, did they really get anyone back for it? It didn't seem like they really got anything, and the Cavs don't really need him for anything.
From my personal understanding, so they got Cleveland will send Brandon Knight, John Henson, and then a second-round pick. Brandon Knight, he's the Shaqtin' a Fool cover guy besides JaVale McGee. John Henson, not a bad role player, but then a second-round pick, that doesn't really mean much.
Yeah, it seems like the Pistons head office didn't know what they were doing. The Cavs, what are they doing? All around, it just feels like it was a dumb trade.
It makes no sense. Yeah. For the Pistons, of course, need to dump that salary, but for the Cavs, it makes no sense why you take them on.
Yeah, it just kind of leaves Blake Griffin in Detroit, who probably needs to get out of there.
Yeah.
D Rose should get out of there. Yeah, that's just...
He's still got a year left on his contract when it's all said and done. So we'll move on here to MLB baseball, and the big news that came out, honestly, if the whole Kobe accident didn't happen, this would for sure be the top headline for us.
For sure.
Being the Mookie Betts and David Price trade to the Dodgers. But right now, I don't know how much you read upon it, but right now it's being halted because
of Twins pitcher.
Yeah, Brewster Gratterall. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I might be botching it, but that's not the point. So right now, that would basically send Verdugo and Brusdar to the Red Sox, and then Kenta Maeda to the Twins.
Right.
Now, what I just read a report on is that now, since it's being halted, the Red Sox are trying to get one more prospect from the Dodgers, which honestly makes sense. But the thing is, who do the Dodgers then give up? Because they aren't going to give up Gavin Lux, because he's a top player. He's going to be a great second base shortstop wherever they decide to put him. Dustin May they need to keep as well, because he's going to be a solid pitcher when he comes through the ranks. The only guy who I could see, and I don't even see him trading him, is Keibert Ruiz, who's a catcher in the minor league system. I believe now they just called him up to AAA this past year. But for right now, how do you see this trade looking for all 3 teams? Because the Twins came out of it, they got a good deal out of it, getting Kenta Maeda.
Right, that's a good pitcher. A
solid pitcher. Dodgers, now you have one of the highest relief paid pitchers in baseball. But then you also have the generational talent of Mookie Betts in center field, who is going to help you tremendously, possibly push him over the hump, but I don't think they will. I still don't think they will. If they didn't do it with Machado, I don't think they're going to do it with Betts.
No, I don't see it either. And the thing I think it's funny that they got David Price, because now it seems that they have 2 postseason chokers.
Yeah.
Which I saw that, and I laughed at that a little bit. But, Dodgers are looking nice. Their lineup's going to be really good. Defensively, they have really good players. So we'll have to see on that. Twins, obviously, that's good pitching prospect.
Yeah,
good pitcher for them.
They've bolstered their pitching ever since Kyle Gibson went to the Rangers.
Yeah, which that's good for them because it feels like the one thing that they kind of lacked in last year was pitching because their offense is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And
I know they just added Donaldson too, which is even going to give them more firepower.
Another good bat.
So they could be a dark horse. They're probably going to be my dark horse next year for a contender.
They'll definitely win that division.
But then for Dodgers, I mean, Gratterall, from what I could tell, pretty good pitcher. I mean, he did well with the Twins last year. But the one big one, and depending on also who they get, Verdugo's a big piece for them because you develop him right. I saw him, his potential with the Dodgers. He looks like he could be really, really good.
Yeah, he could be a stud, that's for sure.
But, yeah, I mean, the one reason why Red Sox got rid of him, of course, you need to dump that contract with David Price. But then,
there was just
more
no
specifically, they weren't
really
going to afford Betts.
No.
So we'll go on here for some more Dodgers news. So the Dodgers then went on to trade Jock Peterson and Ross Stripling.
Yeah, that was kind of added on.
The Angels. Yeah. Now, the one thing was when it originally came out, many people thought that the Angels were the third team, but then some were saying that it was also the fourth team. And then finally, after all this came out, very different type of trade. But for right now, just adds another key piece to the outfield for them. Right now, they got Trout, Peterson, and then whoever else.
Oh, what's the one dude? They have the one guy.
Well, Calhoun just left.
Joe Adell. He's gonna be really.
Joe
good
Adell's gonna be good, but he's a second baseman.
I thought he played some outfield too.
He can play outfield, but he's primarily second base. So whenever Tommy Listell leaves, he's going to be great for them.
I know they have another outfielder. Don't they have Upton?
They do have Upton. Yeah, you're right. So he'll play right field. Oh, Lord, I forgot the heydays of Justin Upton there. But honestly, and then they need to do something with pitching. And Ross Stripling is a great pitcher to add. Their only pitcher
he was
they
good,
have.
But it seems like he never was spotlighted at
and this is
LA
his perfect opportunity. Still in LA, number one, he's going to get his media attention. And then also, he's got the spotlight, like you said.
Because they just don't have the arms right now. They have such great bats with the signing of Rendon and
stuff. They have a good now 3-7 hitter.
Yeah.
But that's really about it. I mean, Tommy Listell's not bad, but at the same yes, he was an all-star a couple years ago. So, okay, 2-7.
He's a good bat. He's
a good bat. Great. He's a decent bat, but great defensively. Also, you have who is Andrelton Simmons.
Yeah,
he's
Simmons,
also defensive
super
powerhouse.
Glove.
So we'll move on here before we get on to your Astros, which was kind of big news this week. The Rangers going on and hiring Greg Bird now. Bird is pretty young. I believe he's only 24 still, but he is. Yeah,
I thought Greg Bird was like 28.
I thought he was 24. Let me recheck, but it's either one of those two. But the one thing that I was really surprised because it was a minor league deal, but one thing I forgot about was that let's see here. Actually, he's 27. Okay, so a little bit older, a little bit younger there. But the one thing that I forgot is Greg Bird. He started out great last year for the Yankees, but then absolutely, he's one of the most streakiest guys that I've seen in baseball. But if the Rangers could somehow get him healthy, I think this is a great move for them, especially some assurance at first base because now not only do you have that insurance because it's a low risk, high reward. Same thing also over in the corner with Todd Frazier there, which is a low risk, high reward. Now, for the Rangers, the question now is, do they bring back my guy Hunter Pence, or does someone sign him? Because I feel like someone should sign him. But again, like Greg Bird, he's inconsistent.
Yeah.
Even though starting DH last year for the All-Star game, but at the same time, he's very, very streaky.
Yeah, that is a problem. I mean, Greg Bird, he's a good hitter. I feel like if they can get him healthy, he could be somebody good they can maybe platoon with.
Yeah.
Or just have him come off the bench and like clutch at bats and stuff.
Yeah. Now going on to kind of your team here, some big things.
Yep.
They hired their new GM and coach. Their GM is now James Click. I'll let you talk about him. But I'm going to take on the Dusty Baker thing. Now Dusty is a renowned manager. He's been highly respected in the game. When I saw this, I thought this was honestly, I think that Dusty is better than A.J. Hinch, in my own opinion, because the mindset that Dusty has and his experience in the game, because when he was on the Reds, I mean, he made the Reds pretty decent. Not only, I know he was big time a defensive guy, also a little bit offense, but more so defense. But now coming into an Astros team, now he has a lot more pieces to work with. Altuve, Bregman, Springer, Correa, depending on if they decide ever to trade him. I feel like they will eventually. But then you also got some upcoming guys. I know Kyle Tucker's coming up whenever Forrest Whitley develops.
Yeah, that's a guy I look forward to.
He's got a lot on his plate right now that he can work with. And honestly, I think this is the best situation and the best candidate that the Astros could go get, unless, of course, Joe Madden wasn't signed by then, and he was way signed by then.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's a good. I think from what he's shown through many coaching years, what he coached like 20.
Oh, he's coached a lot. Yeah,
coached a lot of years. He's has a really good winning record. I think he'll be pretty good. The last team he did coach for was the Nationals, correct?
Yes.
And I mean, with that team, they always were a solid team, but I feel like with the Astros, they're a better team. So I think he'll be able to help them keep riding the wave that they are riding and stay hot.
Yeah. Now I'll let you talk about kind of, because you know a little bit, probably more about me because of course you're a big time Astros fan. Kind of what your opinion is on James Click. I know he was the
Rays.
Yeah, one of the main people at the Rays.
I think he the VP of operations.
Yeah, VP of operations, and I know from his track record, or what I've seen from at least his track record, looks really, really good. But I'll let you go into kind of like what you think about him, and then what your expectations are from him.
I feel like that's a really good sign because from what he did to the Rays, I mean, not only finesse with the finesse of the Pirates, like with Austin Meadows and Tyler Glasnow, I feel like he brought in a lot of really good key units for the Rays, so I feel like he could possibly bring that to the Astros. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah,
he seems like he really knows what he's doing, and could also keep the farm system as good as it has been.
Yeah. We will move on here with the D-backs then acquiring Starling Marte. Honestly, probably should have been traded a couple years ago.
Yeah, no, the Pirates are. That's just.
But honestly, I mean, Diamondbacks not a bad move. It's not a bad move for them, especially now. Not only you got really two key cornerstones, right, or two big guys, Bumgarner and now Starling Marte. Along with that, I'm trying to think of his first name, but his last name is Tomas. I know they got him from.
Oh yeah, that's right.
From Cuba a couple seasons ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Was he Yasmani Tomas?
Yeah, Yasmani Tomas.
He's a good hitter.
I mean, he's inconsistent right now, but then again, that's expected coming into it, being a super young guy. So they got time to work with him. I know Archie Bradley is a big piece for them in the bullpen. I'm trying to. They got from the Astros last year, Seth Beer.
Right. They got who else did they get there?
JB Bucharest. No, he's gonna be good.
Corbin Martin, they got him too.
Yeah. I mean, from what I saw with Seth Beer when he was in Double-A, he's going to be good.
Yeah, he should be really good for them.
And then we'll move on. Another one before we kind of get into one final thing with an injury. That is the Giants also signing Wilmer Flores. Great defensive piece for them. The Giants are right now in a stage where they're not necessarily competing, but they're not necessarily rebuilding.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting spot for them.
I mean,
I think that's a good bat.
Yeah, it's a great bat, great defensive.
Bring some leadership.
I don't think that. I know it was a multi-year deal, so they have him for a couple years. Don't know how much it's going to be worth, which is the big question. But honestly, a pretty solid pickup for them. Kind of a late sleeper in free agency for sure. And the final thing that we're going to go on to here is James Paxton now out for 3 to 4 months for the Yankees. Last year. First half, not the greatest, but he finished very strong in the second half, going 10-0 with a 2.51 ERA. I mean, when Paxton gets back, what do you think? Because, of course, you got to see firsthand what Cole was doing with the Astros. How do you think he's going to pair with Paxton when he gets back?
You know, if he comes back like he did in the second year and the second half of the year, I feel like that pitching staff's going to be unreal.
Because they actually, they just got rid of Dylan Patanzas, too. That's a big thing, though.
But, I mean, he's kind of a streaky pitcher.
Yeah.
And I feel like, wasn't he injured most of last season?
Yeah, he was. He was injured all last year.
Yeah.
So this year for the Mets is going to be half rehab and half starting. But go on about it.
Their bullpen's insane.
It's always been really
good.
good.
Insane. I mean, their starting rotation: Cole, Severino, Paxton when he comes back. Jay Happ's not a bad 4 or 5. I mean, that's gonna be tough. That's a scary team. That is a scary team. Gotta say.
Yeah. I mean, you want to talk about also rotations? I know you might not like this. The Rangers rotation.
No, I mean the Rangers.
Pretty
I
good.
feel like they could be really good if they have Mike
their rotation
Minor.
can. Now the bats, on the other hand, that's gonna be a problem.
Well, I mean their bats were pretty good last year.
They're very
They're
streaky.
Yeah, they're streaky.
I.e. Ruggen and Odor.
Oof. Don't
get me wrong, I love Odor, but man,
that's a tough
is he
contract
streaky.
because they paid him so much that they can't really trade him and they can't really send him to the minors.
When he's hot,
he's good.
But when he's not on it, he's done.
He'll be 200 under.
Yeah. No, it's even worse than 200.
Yeah.
It'll be like
he only got it above
200
because he hit like 350 in September. But no, their rotation's going to be good. If they have Mike Minor and Lance Lynn pitch at the same level and then Kluber come in.
And then they also have Kyle Gibson that came in.
I mean,
I'm trying to think who the last guy they brought in was.
Oh, they did bring in somebody more.
It was Gibson. It was... Why can't I think of their last guy? I need to look it up. Or else I'm going to be kicking myself for the rest of the day if I don't.
Yeah, I can't think of the other person either. But that whole division minus the Mariners, I feel like is going to be really fun to watch.
Minus the Mariners.
The Mariners, oh man, the Mariners is such a sad team. That whole franchise is one L, honestly.
I can't think of who their last guy is. So it's Kyle Gibson. It's let's see, Corey Kluber, Lance Lynn, Mike Minor. Was it Palumbo? No, wait. Who the heck was it? I can't remember, honestly. Well, no, it was the guy they brought over from whatever. Well, I'll figure it. Well, I have it in somewhere later. Not the point, but still a pretty good 1 through 4 guy. Even so, if they want to put Joe Palumbo in for their 5th guy, not a bad idea. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, of course, talking about the Super Bowl, kind of the recap there, and then also some of the big things, Hall of Fame. Let's see here, what else we got, and then the big award show that came up. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Is proud to announce Gage's Granite as an official sponsor for the Saturday podcast. Gage's Granite is a family-run company operating nearby in the Dallas Metroplex. They offer custom granite, travertine, onyx, and marble countertops to homeowners and businesses since 2000. Give them a call today at 972-243-6097 or visit gagesgranite.com or on Facebook and Twitter. You can also stop by the main showroom located at 2427 Glenda Lane in Dallas. Gage's Granite, a proud sponsor of the Max Danielsen Show.
Hey guys, this is Jason with Lacrosse Monkey. Are you looking for a place to shop for your next athletic season? Monkey Sports is here to help. Whether you're looking for baseball, hockey, or lacrosse gear, if you can dream it, we've got it. We provide both the latest and best on the market equipment for your athlete. Stop by and visit us at 105 West Bethany Drive, right off of US 75 in Allen. Monkey Sports, a proud sponsor of the Max Danielsen Show.
And welcome back to the Max Danielsen Show, where we left off, talked a little bit about the NBA trade deadline, the unfortunate news about Kobe Bryant, and then as well, just some things about the Major League offseason, especially the big trade that went down with the Dodgers, Twins, and the Red Sox. Now we're going to go on here to the NFL, and honestly, this whole episode has been filled with headliners. Undoubtedly, Super Bowl LIV, pretty good Super Bowl overall. Chiefs came out of that on top, 31-20, with the 49ers losing MVP of that game. Of course, Patrick Mahomes went 26 for 42, 286 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Overall, what'd you think of the game?
I mean, I feel like it was a great game overall, but I feel like the 49ers gave that game away.
They really did.
I feel like that's kind of on Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, and the big question, and I'll ask you this, because not only did he blow that lead with the 28-3 against the Patriots, but then you also have this one where he blew, what was the lead?
20-10.
20
right?
to
20
10. Yeah, 20 to 10 lead there.
Yeah.
Do you think that Shanahan has been playing way too conservative in Super Bowls?
Yeah, I feel like, honestly, these are two great examples. I feel like at this point he has. And, I mean, it feels like he kind of put too much faith in Jimmy
Yeah.
to go out there. They ran some good plays like the one I knew where they threw that Hail Mary deep on the post route to the guy, but he just overthrew him. But the thing that they had going was running, and it seems like at the end of the game they kind of went away from the running, and that felt like it really hurt them.
And honestly, like, another thing what Andy Reid did, like, he just has faith in Mahomes, where Mahomes can take risks and air out balls, where Jimmy G was just throwing quick 5-8 yard dots to guys. And then they'd have to step with the run game, even though their run game is tremendous, which killed the Packers, as usual. But, I mean, overall, what's called Chiefs, we knew eventually they were going to be.
I feel like the Chiefs really were the better team offensively.
Were they the best team all year? Probably not, but in postseason they played phenomenal.
Their offense is just insane. When you have guys like Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, you can't double team both of them, so you got to pick your poison.
Both are extremely big threats, and even so, I know
and then you got Sammy Watkins, who can be really good, which he showed that off against Richard Sherman there at the end.
Now, they did have McCoy out, which was kind of big as well, and who knows what Shady could have done when he got the ball.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a lot of weapons to work with, and even so, next year when their title defense comes up, it's going to be pretty good.
But with the MVP going to Mahomes, me personally, I feel like it should have been given to Damian Williams.
Yeah,
I feel like he really went off in that game, especially with that. I mean, he kind of closed it out there with that 30-yard touchdown run.
Yeah.
And he had I think he had a touchdown catch.
He did, yes.
But I feel like he was the
also the fullback had a touchdown.
Yeah. Oh, for the 49ers, that was funny. That was great.
Mm-hmm. So we'll get into here kind of the awards that were dished out the night before at the NFL Awards show. No doubt here, Lamar Jackson winning the MVP. Had a phenomenal season. One of the probably greatest that we've ever seen. Definitely one of the best seasons. I know he honestly stepped up from what Patrick Mahomes did last year. Yeah. The question now becomes, and this was the big thing that we learned about Mahomes this year, was can he follow it up?
Right, and I feel like from what he showed, I feel like he should be able to. It'll just see how if teams try and change up how they play him, and if he can change up to that.
Then we got Defensive Rookie of the Year, Nick Bosa. Big piece for the 49ers and really helped them defensively throughout the year. Just looking out for the future of Nick Bosa, how do you see his career panning out?
Honestly, I feel like he's going to be top defensive player for years to come. That dude is a top. He's potentially like what JJ was when he won those defensive player of the years in a row until his injuries. So I feel like if he's able to stay away from the injuries, he's going to be unreal.
Yeah. I mean, Nick Bosa, I know, not only is he phenomenal, his brother Joey's also phenomenal with the Chargers. It's kind of that same breed of the Watts.
Yeah, like the Watts.
Pretty much what you got there.
And I forgot, what's the other one? The fullback from the Chargers. What's his name?
Oh, Lord, I can't think of it. It's TJ. Let me see. Watt brothers. I don't know why I can't think of this name. Derek Watt. That's who it is.
Yeah, that's it, Derek.
The one that everyone forgets.
Yeah, no.
Unfortunately. But, I mean, he's still a great player.
Yeah, no, he's good,
and
too,
even
for the
so,
Chargers.
they have one of the Bosas and one of the Watts on that
both.
team.
That's funny.
We'll go on here. The offensive rookie. I mean, we knew
Michael
this was
Thomas.
eventually going to be that it. Well, actually, offensive rookie.
Oh, rookie, my bad.
Which is Kyler Murray for the Cardinals.
I feel like it was really a toss-up between him and Josh Jacobs because Josh Jacobs just went off for the Raiders.
He did. But at the same time, you know, I knew that it was unfortunately going to go to him, even though that Jacobs had a phenomenal season. I appreciate the fantasy points, Jacobs. I really do.
Dude.
But, I mean, the league that we've seen is all QB-oriented.
Yeah, it really is.
And I knew Kyler was going to win it. Now, what Kyler could do for the Cardinals in the future is a big toss-up because I know Jacobs and the Raiders is going to be fine. He's going to help the Raiders a lot, and he did even this season. But with the Cardinals, you got a really, really interesting situation because now you're not going to have that receiver. I know in this year now he's going into his 17th season. Larry Fitzgerald probably going to retire here within the next year or two. So you're going to have
On the
that
Hall
go
of
away,
Fame.
and now you got to figure out a whole new receiver to go to, because Larry Fitzgerald,
Yeah.
no matter
That
what
dude-
you throw him, he's going to catch it.
Yeah, that dude's just one of the top.
He will
receivers
easily be a
ever.
first ballot
Hall of
Hall of Famer.
Fame, 100%, no doubt. Yeah, that's a really interesting team that we'll have to see. I mean, Kyler, I think he really stepped up, and
did,
I think he did really good.
At the first part of the year, didn't do well, but
No,
then towards
but
the end
he
of the
really
year, he
stepped
really
up
did
towards
step
the
up.
end, and he showed good leadership, and
He
I
did,
feel
yeah.
like
I
he could be
mean,
a good
and
player.
that's what you need for a quarterback, and especially a young guy. It's great to see that. Now, on the other hand, another Oklahoma quarterback, Baker Mayfield, not really
not
doing
quite.
too hot.
I mean, maybe with a new coach,
Maybe,
they can
yeah.
figure it out. Freddie Kitchens definitely was not the guy there.
Definitely
He
not.
he's just not the guy, and
Neither was Hugh Jackson.
no, not at all. That whole Browns team was like a dumpster fire this year. So
And I imagine this offseason OBJ is going to get traded.
Yeah.
That'll be even more drama. We started off the show with Antonio Brown drama, and I can guarantee throughout this year it's going to be OBJ drama next. But going on to who you were saying earlier before I said offensive rookie and you mistaken it, the offensive player of the year was Michael Thomas. I mean, for
Great
the Saints
player.
this year, had a phenomenal season. Now, if Lamar Jackson didn't win it, it was going to go to – it was either one of them was going to get the offensive MVP or the MVP. Right. It was going to be one of the two. Now, what also stinks is what really, really stinks about this is because, even though Michael Thomas had a great season, at the same time, you can't take away from what Christian McCaffrey did.
Yeah,
also.
that's what I saw too. I feel like really once he broke the record, I feel like that secured it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Christian McCaffrey, what a great season.
He had a great season,
really
but nothing to take away from Michael Thomas because Michael Thomas had
that was
probably one of the greatest seasons that a receiver's ever had.
Yeah,
of course, besides the Randy Moss days.
Oh, yeah. I mean, but he's really stepped up to be one of the best receivers in the game.
And even so, that's something like Drew Brees needs. Like,
yeah.
I mean, that Drew Brees, and even so, Drew Brees broke the record this year with the touchdowns.
Yep.
But we'll move on here. Defensive Player of the Year with the Patriots, Stephen Gilmore. He's really become a really, really solid piece for the Patriots. Now, the big question, or really it was the big question until the Super Bowl with Tom Brady if he was going to leave.
Oh, what a commercial that was.
Oh,
that
man.
was funny.
Now, I don't think the broadcast we were watching for the Super Bowl, I don't know if they played it, but eventually I saw it afterwards during like halftime or something. By the way, great halftime show. But
Very nice.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, basically Tom Brady posted something on Instagram where it seemed like he was leaving, but then it was all just a thing for a Hulu commercial. And then at the very end he said,
great.
I'm not going anywhere. So he's basically going to stay with the Patriots for the remainder of his career, which is a great decision. Now, where Phillip Rivers goes, who the hell knows?
I mean, there's spots for him.
Probably Indy, honestly.
Yeah, Indy. I wonder if anybody's going to go to Jacksonville.
That'd be interesting. Well, they got
Gardner, so probably not. I mean, I wonder what they do with Nick Foles and that big contract. That sort of backfired on them.
I mean, he didn't play too bad.
He didn't play too bad, but he wasn't
nothing to where
what he got paid for.
I remember when he signed him, and I was like, that's such a ridiculous contract. But, I mean, going back on to Stephen Gilmore, I mean, he had a great season overall. He's been, ever since Malcolm Butler kind of left the Patriots, he's stepped up and become a very, very key piece in that secondary.
Yeah.
But nothing again. Really, that was pretty much who was my pick for this
I think that
player.
was basically
I mean, it was a given there.
Yeah.
And then Coach of the Year, John Harbaugh. I mean, what can you expect? Either that, it was either going to be them or the coach of the 49ers.
Yeah, which I thought it could possibly be him since he
Yeah.
completely turned that team around and got them into the playoffs. But, I mean, that really the Ravens all season just looked unstoppable.
They really did.
And it looked like nobody was going to beat
And
them.
then
But,
Titans came out of nowhere, which
Derrick
leads
Henry.
right
Derrick
into my
Henry.
next guy here, being the comeback player of the year, which is Ryan Tannehill. What a season that he had at the end of it.
Yeah,
I mean, having a running back like Derrick Henry, like you were talking about,
definitely
had
helps.
a phenomenal season
Definitely
with him.
helps.
But what Ryan Tannehill was doing towards the end of the year was legendary.
Yeah, no, he turned around not only himself, but he really helped that Tennessee team go to the playoffs. And, I mean, from what Miami's just a terrible place. He really turned around his career from there because I know he had a couple of injuries there, but he had I think he had a good season there, and this year he just looked phenomenal.
And I even saw that, when he was with the Dolphins, everyone saw at least that he had the potential. But
Yeah, he
then
had really good
now he
potential,
finally
but-
got the right situation with the Titans, who, honestly, I really wanted to go to the Super Bowl.
I know.
And then they blew that lead.
I mean, it's crazy to think that the Chiefs really were down 10 points every single game and came back and won.
Yeah. Well, actually, it was way more for the Titans.
It was at least 10 points.
Yeah, I think it was 24-3, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
At one point.
The Texans.
Oh, wait, that was the Titans. Oh,
Texans
shoot. Never
that
mind.
They blew the super lead. I think the Titans were up. It was 10
something
to
like that.
14.
Yeah. Something like that. Not the worst.
Nothing
but
like the Texans did.
Okay, I was mixing up my games.
flop.
But then we'll go on. So, besides, of course, we know Jimmy Johnson got elected in Canton, as well as some other coaches and owners. But the players that were awarded Canton, which was Troy Polamalu, Edgar James, Steve Atwater, Isaac Bruce, Steve Hutchinson, all those guys elected Canton. But the one guy I want to focus on, because he was a big part of our childhood, was Troy Polamalu.
Of course.
As how Patrick
Fat
McAfee.
What a great story. I love going back and listening
I
to
love that story so much. For my viewers that don't know that story, highly recommend watching it. And he purposely says Polamalu every single time, ruined his amazing touchdown.
Ruined his chance to get a touchdown.
But yeah, Troy Polamalu, one of the greatest defensive players to ever play the game.
Steelers, real big part of when they won the Super Bowl.
Back in 2009 against the Cardinals.
Yeah, that was a great Super Bowl.
Hard to believe that was over 11 years ago now.
I know. It feels so long. I remember watching that game.
I do too. I remember. It was a good game.
From the James Harrison 100-yard return to the crazy catch that they had there at the end.
And then 2 days ago, whenever this podcast comes up, would be the 9-year anniversary when the Packers won the Super Bowl.
Yep, over the what was it? The
Steelers,
right? Yeah, over the Steelers.
How ironic there, but Troy Polamalu undoubtedly was going to go into it. I believe he's also a first ballot Hall of Famer, if I'm not mistaken, which is
correct.
Obviously he deserves it. Just the impact he left on the game, not only with what he did defensively, scaring people, especially Pat McAfee, but he was just a threat to be reckoned with every single time he stepped on the field. And then we are going to go on here. A running joke we have with our baseball team when we were playing football, we're like, there are no white corners in the NFL. And the only guy we said that defensively was somewhat like a corner was Eric Weedle, and now he ended up just retiring.
But great career he had. He played 16
Yeah, a
years.
lot of seasons. I know he was big with the Ravens, had a great season with the Chargers too.
He was a good player, and
honestly, one of the best safeties to play in football. I would not doubt that he gets into Canton eventually.
He had
first ballot, probably not, but eventually.
Good number of interceptions.
Yeah.
He was just a great all-around defensive player.
Overall, yeah. And then the last topic we're going to end here with the NFL. This came out just a couple weeks ago, being the Panthers set to release Greg Olsen. Now, that comes after they lost Luke Kuechly when he retired.
That was a big key.
But for Greg Olsen, eventually his career is dwindling beneath him. A great tight end overall, but just his body's caught up to him.
I feel like for him,
still puts up great fantasy numbers,
gotta go to like a contender.
Yeah.
I feel like he could really help a contender.
He definitely could.
Because
honestly, I can see the Cowboys picking him up.
Yeah, they really could. Because
Jason Witten.
Old man
Witten. Don't get me wrong.
He's a good tight end. He's a good tight end, but he's just.
I don't like the Cowboys, but I have always liked Jason Witten. Yeah. Just because the player he is, and then the person he is as well. But this season, he should have just stayed in the booth. He should have just stayed in the booth.
He runs at a speed of 2.
He really does.
Greg Olsen, big tight end, good hands. I feel like he could be a good key to a contender, probably.
Alrighty, so that is going to do it for this portion of it. When we come back, we're going to be talking a little bit some tennis here with the Australian Open. And then a little bit of college football, and then we're going to add in just a little bit of the XFL that's coming up this weekend. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back. The Max Danielsen Show is proud to announce Gage's Granite as an official sponsor for the Saturday podcast. Gage's Granite is a family-run company operating nearby in the Dallas Metroplex. They offer custom granite, travertine, onyx, and marble countertops to homeowners and businesses since 2000. Give them a call today at 972-243-6097 or visit gagesgranite.com or on Facebook and Twitter. You can also stop by the main showroom located at 2427 Glenda Lane in Dallas. Gage's Granite, a proud sponsor of the Max Danielsen Show.
Hey guys, this is Jason with Lacrosse Monkey. Are you looking for a place to shop for your next athletic season? Monkey Sports is here to help. Whether you're looking for baseball, hockey, or lacrosse gear, if you can dream it, we've got it. We provide both the latest and best on the market equipment for your athlete. Stop by and visit us at 105 West Bethany Drive, right off of US 75 in Allen. Monkey Sports, a proud sponsor of the Max Danielsen Show.
And welcome back to the Max Danielsen Show. Where we left off, we talked a lot about the NFL, Super Bowl that came up this past weekend, the NFL awards show, and then just some other news within the sports, or really news within the NFL. We're going to move on to here to a topic that we don't really talk about much, or we don't really get to talk about, that being tennis for probably the first time in the podcast.
How about
reaching to episode 20, the first time that we brought on tennis. But it, of course, is a big thing whenever we mention a sport that really isn't talked about much. It's always big. That being Novak Djokovic and Sofia Kenin winning the Australian Open. Of course, Novak, one of the greatest tennis players to ever play.
Dude's really good.
And then Kenin, she's really made herself a name. Especially, I'm pretty sure, I think it was her that took down Serena Williams a couple years ago, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe that was a different person I'm thinking of. Yeah, but I know Kenin's making a great name for himself.
Yeah, she's making a good
As you can tell, tennis is not my cup of tea.
No. I did do some researching. I found out that Novak actually beat Roger Federer in the round before, and the guy he beat knocked off Rafael Nadal, who was number one.
All three of those guys, those are some of the greatest tennis players you'll ever hear. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if we're really talking about big three in tennis, those are the names.
Those are pretty much the names. And then I know, like I said, Sofia Kenin, she's making herself a name up there. Nothing like a Serena Williams just yet. Maybe not ever, but maybe one day. Maybe one day. Or somewhat in that range. But I don't think anyone's ever going to be as good as Serena Williams. She is
unbelievable.
Probably the greatest women's tennis player to ever play the game.
For sure.
Undoubtedly. For sure. So we'll move on here. College football. Mark D'Antoni stepping down from Michigan State. A little bit of surprise here. Yeah. Michigan State, they're not the powerhouse they used to be, but still a pretty decent school.
Still a good team. Are they in the West?
They are in the Big Ten.
Yeah. Are they in the West or the East of the Big Ten?
Ooh, that is a great question.
Because I know it's pretty split. Like, one's definitely better than the other. I think they're in the
they might be in the East, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check that. Big Ten East. Honestly, I forgot about that. Yes, they are in the East. Yeah. Which,
I mean, with Penn State,
Michigan, Maryland,
Ohio State,
Rutgers. That's the East. I mean, it's
the East
powerhouse
is just
there.
Powerhouse. West not as good, but I mean, they were good. I remember, what was it, when they played Michigan that one game and they had the block punt. Yeah. That was funny.
But I mean, overall, D'Antoni had a pretty good
coach
tenure with the Spartans. Went 114-57.
Yeah.
Do I think he should now? The term nowadays, stepping down, basically means you're fired. We just don't want to release it. You just should go on your own. But
it's really how it is.
Overall, I mean, it was a little bit interesting when I saw it, but we'll see how Michigan State rebounds from this. Maybe they
see if they get a good coach.
Great coach. I know there's probably thousands of great coaches in the.
Honestly.
The waiver for the coaches. I mean, there have been the Appalachian coach got signed. The Baylor coach is now gone. I mean, there's a lot of open spots in college football. And the last topic we'll talk about here, this kind of just came up because this weekend is a very, very big thing with the XFL starting. Now, for the viewers that don't really remember, and the coolest part is my dad, when I was like 5, gifted me this, I still have it. It's the original XFL ball, still in the
That's great.
case and everything, from the original one in 2001. Now, it'll be interesting. I want to hear your opinion. How do you think the XFL can survive in this? Because we remember the Alliance Football League, which is hard to believe that was a little over a year ago now. It seems like forever.
This time, it's crazy, and that it lasted 6 weeks?
Not even that.
Maybe,
I think
not even?
4.
Yeah,
because they could
had
not
that
pay their
guy
players.
come in and give the money, and that seems like it did nothing.
Yeah.
It kind of spiraled them down.
Now, do you think that could happen in the XFL, or do you think they have a better shot?
Possibly. I feel like it has a better shot because it's already was once established, and I feel like they can do better now.
It's also owned by WWE.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think. Why can't I think of the guy who's the? Dana White.
Dana White's UFC.
UFC's.
Vince McMahon.
Vince McMahon. That's the guy. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like he maybe he can learn from last time.
Yeah.
Guess we'll have to see.
I definitely think because, especially with McMahon said last time, he's like, last time was all about wrestling. This time we want to actually bring it in with football.
Right.
And I like the idea.
I like the idea.
The overtime idea. I really like the shootout style with the field goals. I think that's going to be a really, really interesting one.
I agree.
But, I mean, and even so, both of our cities have teams. I know Houston has a team.
I know Houston got a team.
Dallas has a team. I know San Antonio's salty that they don't have a team.
Yeah.
I read a tweet
San Antonio's still...
Poor San Antonio. Oh, but then again, they do have the most winning team in NBA history, if I'm not mistaken.
Spurs, I mean,
not much really you can ask for there.
Bunch of years in a row
and even so,
winning.
while we're talking about our guy, Pat McAfee's going to be doing some sideline stuff.
Yep, that would
which
be really
will be
fun to see.
watch.
I look forward to that.
I love when he's in the booth because he always makes the game interesting. Yeah. He brings the humor of Bill Walton, but not the. But he definitely has way more brains than Bill Walton.
Yeah.
I remember hearing what was the game that we were watching, that me and my roommate were watching last night? It was Arizona and USC, and he was just blabbering on about something.
The basketball?
Yeah.
I think I saw that was on while I was in the gym.
Yeah. I forget what he was blabbering about. It was something really, really stupid, but my favorite Bill Walton memory still to this day when it was when they were playing the Hawaii series, and he was talking about, he's like, I forget who the announcer was with him, but he's like, whales breed in the summer. And the announcer's like, yep, that's true, Bill. He's like, and I like to breed in the summer. And he's like, well, Bill, I was trying to go away from that, but thank you. Now we're all enlightened. I love Bill Walton just because of the humor he brings, but my goodness, does he talk about the most random crap I could think of. But, yeah, I definitely think that it's a great idea to have him on the sideline, Pat McAfee.
Yeah, no, he brings a lot of fun.
Hilarious guy.
He brings a lot of fun. So.
He really does. I mean, I've said it multiple times on this podcast that I love listening to it, especially that Troy Polamalu story. It's my favorite story.
I like going on and listening on his show. I feel like they go over a lot of good stuff.
And even so, I know he just released a video on the XFL, so if you want to go check that out, highly recommend doing that. But that's going to do it for today's episode of the Max Danielsen Show. Brett, thanks again for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I had a good time.
It's tradition. I ask if you have any other things to say, go for it.
Not really. I feel like we went over all sports, basically.
Yeah.
I'm just glad that you had me on here. It was a lot of fun.
A lot of fun, yes, sir. So that is going to do it for this week, as I thank you for watching from myself, Max Danielsen. And as always, have a pleasant good morning, a good afternoon, or good evening to you, wherever or whenever you may be watching. Thanks, y'all, and we'll see you next week.